You wake up tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. Something deeper. You open your eyes, and before your feet even touch the floor, you feel it. A weight. Not on your body, on your mind. You slept 7 hours, maybe 8, but you feel like you ran a marathon in your dreams. And now the day begins, and you already want it to end.
You check your phone, not because you want to, because your hand moves before your brain agrees. 17 notifications, 3 emails marked urgent, a calendar that looks like a war zone, and somewhere, underneath all of it, a voice whispers, "Why am I so tired?" You are not lazy. You are not broken. But something is deeply, fundamentally wrong, and you feel it every single day.
You have access to more information than any emperor in history, more comfort than kings, more tools than armies. And yet, you are exhausted. Not from labor, from noise. The kind of noise you cannot hear with your ears. The kind that lives behind your eyes, in the space between your thoughts. It never stops. It hums. It buzzes. It drains. You sit at your desk and stare at a screen. Hours pass. You produce nothing. And somehow you are more tired than if you had moved mountains. You scroll. You refresh. You check. You scroll again. Each swipe a tiny withdrawal from a bank account you cannot see. Your attention, your presence, your life force, spent on nothing, invested in static. And when the day ends, you collapse, not from accomplishment, from friction, from the 10,000 micro-decisions that never mattered, from the weight of living at the mercy of everyone else's urgency. Hustle culture told you a lie. It said, do more. It said, sleep less. It said, grind until the wheels fall off, and then grind some more. And you believed it, because everyone around you seemed to believe it. So you woke up earlier, stayed up later, stacked your plate higher, and called it ambition. But ambition without alignment is just chaos with a goal. Movement without stillness is just running in circles. And that is exactly where you are. Running, exhausted, going nowhere. You complete tasks, but nothing feels complete. You achieve things, but nothing feels like achievement. You cross items off your list, and the list grows longer, and you grow emptier. This is not productivity. This is a slow bleeding of the soul. And here is what no one tells you. The tiredness you feel is not physical. It is spiritual. You are not exhausted because your body has worked too hard. You are exhausted because your mind has never rested. Not once. Not truly. Even in sleep, it churns, planning tomorrow, regretting yesterday, rehearsing conversations that will never happen, solving problems that do not exist. Your brain has become a machine that cannot turn off, and a machine that never stops eventually breaks. This is not burnout. Burnout is a symptom. This is something older, something the ancient masters had a name for, a disconnection from the Tao,
a separation from the natural flow. You have been living against the current, swimming upstream, fighting the river, and wondering why you are drowning. But here is what you must understand. You are not weak. You are not a failure. You are a warrior who has forgotten the way. Somewhere along the path, you were handed a map drawn by people who had never walked the road. They told you that rest is laziness, that stillness is stagnation, that silence is wasted time. And you listened, because the noise was so loud you could not hear your own wisdom. The noise became your master. Your ego became your enemy. Attachment to results became your chain. And now you drag that chain through every hour of every day, not because you choose to, because you forgot you could let go. But the ancient masters knew something we have forgotten. In the mountains of China, in the monasteries of Japan, in the quiet spaces where wisdom was born, they understood a truth we desperately need to remember. Fatigue does not come from doing. Fatigue comes from resisting, from forcing, from trying to control what cannot be controlled, from holding on when life is asking you to release.
The Tao Te Ching speaks of water. Water does not fight the rock. It flows around it. It does not tire. It does not strain. And in time, it wears the rock away. Not through force, through patience, through alignment with its own nature. You have been the rock trying to stop the river, trying to hold everything in place, trying to control outcomes, timelines, perceptions, results. And the river does not stop. It never stops. And so you break piece by piece while the water flows on. This is where the path splits. One direction leads deeper into the noise. More apps, more systems, more hacks, more ways to optimize the chaos without ever questioning the chaos itself. The other direction leads somewhere quieter. Not easier, quieter. It leads to a principle the Japanese call wu-wei, effortless action. Not laziness, not passivity, but movement in harmony with the moment. Doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, without the friction of resistance, without the weight of expectation, without the noise of the ego screaming for recognition. Wu Wei is the archer who releases the arrow without thinking, the swordsman who moves before the opponent strikes, the master who acts without acting. This is not mysticism. This is the highest form of efficiency, because all that energy you spend fighting yourself, doubting yourself, pushing yourself, that energy could be flowing into the work itself. But you have been leaking, draining, bleeding out through 1,000 invisible wounds called distraction.
And so we come to discipline. But not the discipline you have been sold. Not the cold, punishing, teeth-gritting force of willpower. That is not discipline. That is violence against the self. True discipline is something softer and far more powerful. The Japanese speak of ganbaru, to do one's best, to endure, to persist with grace, not to dominate, to harmonize. True discipline is respect for your own temple. Your body is not a machine to be exploited. It is sacred ground. Your mind is not a tool to be overworked. It is a garden to be tended. When you treat yourself as an enemy to be conquered, you will always be at war.
When you treat yourself as a home to be honored, you will find peace. Consider Kaizen, the way of continuous improvement, not through massive, heroic efforts, but through small, patient steps. 1% better, 1 moment of presence, 1 breath taken with full awareness. The West worships the grand gesture. The East understands the power of the quiet inch. You do not need to transform overnight. You need to return to yourself, slowly, gently, with the patience of someone planting a tree they may never sit under. This is not weakness. This is the deepest strength. The strength to let go of the performance. The strength to stop proving. The strength to simply be.
And then there is mushin, no mind. The state of flow where thought dissolves and action becomes pure. This is where fatigue cannot exist, because fatigue is born in the gap between who you are and who you think you should be. When that gap closes, when you stop performing and start being, the energy returns, not from external sources, from within. You have a well inside you, but you have been so busy drawing water from other people's wells that you forgot your own. The scrolling, the comparing, the constant measurement of your life against highlight reels. Each comparison is a bucket of water poured into the sand, wasted, gone, and you grow thirstier. The tiredness you feel is not a problem to be solved. It is a message to be heard. Your body is speaking. Your spirit is speaking. And they are saying the same thing. This is not the way. Not the way of force. Not the way of noise. Not the way of endless accumulation. There is another way. The way of subtraction, of silence, of stillness within motion, of doing less, but doing it completely, of being present in this breath, this step, this moment, not the next one, this one. You have been taught that rest is earned, that you must first exhaust yourself to deserve peace. This is a lie. Rest is not a reward. Rest is the foundation. Without it, nothing you build will stand. The masters did not meditate because they had extra time. They meditated because they understood that time spent in stillness creates more time in action. The mind that rests is the mind that sees clearly. The mind that sees clearly does not waste movement. Every action becomes precise. Every effort becomes meaningful. And the tiredness begins to lift. Not because you are doing less, because you are being more. Think of the bamboo. It bends in the storm. It does not resist. And when the storm passes, it stands. The oak fights the wind. It is proud, it is strong, and eventually it breaks. You have been the oak, rigid, unyielding, fighting every gust with everything you have. And the gusts never stop. They never will. So the question is not how to defeat the wind. The question is how to become bamboo, flexible, rooted, alive.
This is not about quitting. This is not about giving up. This is about giving in to the rhythm of your own existence, to the truth that you are not separate from life, but part of it. When you stop fighting the current, you discover it was carrying you all along, toward something, somewhere, a destination you cannot see from where you stand.
but you do not need to see it. You only need to stop drowning long enough to float, and then, slowly, to swim with the river, not against it. So here is the question you must sit with, not answer, sit with. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be enough? If you already were? If the tiredness was not a flaw to be fixed, but a teacher to be heard? If the noise was not your enemy, but a mirror showing you where you have abandoned yourself? What would remain if you stripped away everything you do for approval, for validation, for the image you are terrified of losing? Who are you in the silence, when no one is watching, when there is nothing to prove? The answer is not in this video. It is not in any video. It is in the space after the video ends, in the quiet that follows, in the choice you make when you close this screen. Do you reach for the next distraction, or do you sit for one moment with the weight you have been carrying? Not to fix it, not to analyze it, just to feel it, to acknowledge it, to honor the part of you that has been screaming for your attention while you gave that attention to everything else.
The masters did not leave us answers. They left us koans, questions without resolution, meant to crack open the mind. Here is yours. If you stopped running, what would finally catch up to you? And would it destroy you? Or would it set you free? The river flows. It has always flowed. You can fight it for another year, another decade, another lifetime. Or you can let go and discover that you were never supposed to hold on in the first place. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. But now, at least, you know it exists. Sit with this. There is no rush. There never was.